Even to tonight's show. My goodness, my goodness. We have an anniversary to celebrate tonight. I didn't, it's a little late in the evening, but I knew that I couldn't miss tonight, the anniversary of when we first started doing that, when I first started doing this well, it started on Facebook and then eventually made its way to YouTube proper. And yeah, I don't know. I just like weird. It's just weird. It's like it's only been 3 years, but it feels like a decade. And I don't know if that's because, you know, 2020, like 2020 alone felt like 5 years, you know. And then maybe like 2021 felt like 3 years and 2022 felt like 2 years. Time sort of work differently since 2020. That's for sure. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just feeling kind of reflective today because, it just I just never thought that I would be, doing something like this. You just like, you start doing something in your life that is completely unexpected and, somewhat left field from anything that you used to do in your life. I don't know. It's like a weird dividing period now in my life because like this has just become such a a presence in my life. It's something that I love to do. I just love to do it. I love to come on here. I love to just talk stream of conscious. I met a lot of people along the way. We've like, I don't know, we got like a little community kind of. It's a lot of fun to sort of, see these faceless names, but yet have like, you know, casual rapport with people on the internet, like Angus here. Hi, Angus. How are you tonight? One of the big, I think about like Rue Morgue, who was there at the very, very beginning and still around. Shout out to Rue Morgue and John of Doom, friggin' Russell Casualty. Who else did I meet through here? Secret Tony Subway, Jody Ramone, Amy, Biz is someone who's always in the chat. We had Ballad of the Broken for a while. I remember that guy. Like all the names. I'm trying to think of all the names. Please don't. Mom Longoria, Mushroom. There was a Mushroom guy. Podrick. Remember Podrick? Who else off the top of my head? Of Dagger Love, of course. How could I forget Dagger Love? Big shout out to Dagger Love as well. Trying to think. More names. Just names. We've had some interesting characters. If I don't oh yeah. I'm not counting you because I knew Robbie way before I started doing this. But yes, Hot Tub Rob and Bob. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. That is a huge one. Huge one. Good evening, Biz. I'm trying to think who else is somebody. Oh, Nigel from New Zealand. Oh, Winston Smith, right? R King. We got R King, I Mesenthrope. And please, if your name doesn't come to my brain in this moment, please don't be upset because there's a lot of people. And I just try to remember these names off the top of my head, and it's hard. I said John of Doom already. I don't know. We got so many. And yeah, I don't know. I just was feeling kind of Keith. Hey, what's up, Keith? How you doing? Saw Misfits in Dallas. So we got a show tonight. I got a show planned tonight. I mean, it's really just more of an excuse to go live. Now we'll talk some Misfits in a minute, but I thought, why not? Really the snake eating its tail here. Why not revisit the very first episode of this show 3 years ago? My very first time ever doing this. I was doing some calculations today. And so when I started, I had a little less than 300 videos on my channel. and now there's over 1,300. So there's over 1,000 more videos in the last 3 years. Of those 1,000 videos, I was able to calculate, like, without, like, really looking, there's 584 times that I did what I just did just now, where I went live straight the to the YouTube channel. So I've done that 584 times in 3 years. And then there's all the times I went live just on Facebook and then ripped those and uploaded those. So I don't know. I would probably say at least 600, maybe even more than 600 times. 600 shows that we've done. Misfits related, not Misfits related. The Misfits shows, we've done over 100 of those, that I know. I was thinking in my head, maybe I would stop at 138. Like, it's like kind of like perfect. I'm kind of thinking like, how much longer can I really talk about the Misfits? But we always find something, some little kernel, some little meat kebab. But I want to dwell on, this is also hey, what's up, Chris? How are you? How you doing, Chris? Oh, I said Jody Ramone too, right? Yeah, I did say Jody Ramone. Just want to make sure I'm not trying to remember other people. I said mushroom leg, is it? I said Angus. So I don't know. I was just trying to think of everybody who I see here. And of course, all the people that support on YouTube memberships and friggin' Patreon memberships, all you guys, awesome. Thank you for your support as well. I never thought that I would get to a place where I was doing like a Patreon or having YouTube memberships, and that's crazy too. And we're just still growing, man. This is not resting on laurels. We just keep chugging along. And the goal here is to grow, but it's also just to do this because we love doing this, and that's it. But I want to get a little personal before I launch into tonight's show, because of this anniversary, because I really want to, I feel like it's something that I could offer, just from my own experience. And I've talked about it on the channel before. I talked about it on the last anniversary and the anniversary before that. So this is like an anniversary related topic to the, streaming live on YouTube. I don't know. I'm just feeling really sentimental about this right now. I guess, you know what it is? I guess I just didn't think I would still be doing this 3 years later. I really didn't. I really thought I would have stopped when like the world started to like spin again. And I haven't. I keep going. I keep doing it. But when I started, what we're about to see, I was in a pretty bad place at that time. I was really, really burnt out at my day job at that time, which I later got laid off from due to cuts, which was horrible at the time when it happened, but was also a big relief because I could not stand to work at that job. I could not stand going in every day. I was like dead inside. I hated it. One of the only things that like kept me going in that situation, it was one aspect of my life. I had a very rich, wonderful life, lots of relationships, going to see shows, going to the Alamo all the time, not suffering in that kind of way. I just mean in terms of like my work, my work and what I was doing. And like, I didn't find any meaning in the job that was bringing me a paycheck. And, that's the problem with jobs. And it's like this, we live in this society. Again, I'm telling you, I'm going down the rabbit hole for a minute. We live in a society where we need to work to live. It's just the way it is. And, like good or bad. And what's kind of crazy is I think 2020 really sort of brought that to the forefront when, there were people dying to drive. People were dying because they drove a bus. You know what I mean? Like the thought of, and maybe you like driving the bus, maybe you don't like driving the bus, but the thought that was in the back of my head, I was thinking like, if this bus driver who tragically lost their life didn't like driving the bus, but they had to drive that bus every day, like, man, life is like cheap in that kind of way. And that like, you should be genuinely doing things that you want to do if you can afford to do them. Obviously, part of the problem is if you have a family, if you have people that depend on you, then a lot of that stuff changes. Your priorities have to change. You need to show up for the people that depend on you. And that's important too. But sometimes you get this little like window where you sort of taken out of that equation and you can like stop and like look around and be like, what what brings me meaning in my life. That's not like being dead inside at a soul-sucking job. You know, it's funny, the biggest, you know, I'm a tiny little channel. We do tiny little things here, but I found deep meaning in doing this stuff, this podcasting stuff, when people started to leave comments on the YouTube. And I apologize for not responding to all the YouTube comments that have been coming in. It's a lot. It's like a full-time job just to respond to comments. I try to respond to every single comment. When I heard the very thing that I used to, I heard from other people what was me previously, and they said, I love listening to your long shows because it really takes my mind off of my workday. It helps me to get through my workday. It's a distraction from my workday, that kind of thing. And that to me is like the greatest reward. And because that's me with podcasts too. When I was at this job that I hated, I'd put on a podcast and it would make the day go by. It made the day go by easier. And one of the things, and here's where I promise I'm going to come around to this. This is like, I'm really going out there. I'm bringing it back in, people. I'm bringing it back in. One of the things that, that really, and again, I'm not talking about family or social life. I'm talking about my work and what brings meaning in terms of work, like life work, whatever you want to call it. One of the things that was bringing me great meaning and like, you know, really driving me when I was like feeling so dead inside at this job that I hated to do, but had to do because it was, you know, again, it was required of me. You know, it's required. I have a family. I have to, you know, contribute to my household. I got to do the best I can, that sort of thing. Was that I was making my second feature-length film. I'm a filmmaker. Before any of this podcasting stuff, that's what I do. I make movies, and it's just really hard to make a movie, especially when you're doing it out of pocket in a micro budget kind of way. I've done 2 narrative feature-length films. I was hoping that like by now maybe I would have had like 10 under my belt, but it just doesn't, you know, when you have kids and you get a mortgage, like it's hard to keep going, but you got to keep, you know, if you like doing it and you need to do it and it makes you feel good to do it, then you find a way to do it. Just takes longer to do it, that sort of thing. We talked a little bit about this stuff on last night's show with Larry the Wolf, which I highly suggest everybody checks out. Had Larry the Wolf on yesterday from Manimals. Such an awesome dude, such a knowledgeable dude. We got really, really deep. He said some really deep truths about being an artist and how like, and not letting just your art define you, but like lots of things define you. In any case, digressing back to what I was talking about, like the thing that was driving me was I'm making my second feature-length film. And the thing was, I was making this, we shot 20% of this feature. Was producing, writing, and directing this film. It's called Gouge Away. I've talked about it on the channel. At the time, it wasn't called Gouge Away. It was called Wash Away. And it was a completely different script. And we shot 20% of the movie. And you'll never guess what the weekend was that we shot it. And again, this might be overlap and repeat for some people who've heard the story before, but basically, we shot it the weekend of March 6th through March 8th, 2020. And that was right before the world shut down, right? And when the world shut down, my little movie shut down as well. I could not continue. I was at an impasse. And so and the reason why I'm telling you all this is because this is context for what you are going to see. Like, we've been shut down. We were shut down for about 10 days. And I kept thinking in my head, well, I'll probably get back to it at some point. Because, you know, I was like, oh my God, we just started shooting and we've lost momentum already. And, like this is a drag, man. Like, this is terrible. And so this is me, like, just wanting to do something. What you're about to see this is me. This is the first episode of me doing live streaming. This is me just going, you know what? I'm just going to go live. I see people going live all the time. I'm just going to go live in this way. I had kind of been going live on my personal Facebook account, but like not really doing anything. I was watching movies and sort of talking about them. and I was just doing it because it was something to do. And now here I was. Actually, I'm not sure if that was before or after this. This was the first time I was like, I'm going to officially try and talk live. I'm not going to watch the whole thing because it's like friggin' 2 hours long. Just want to watch like the first 10 minutes and just, I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen it. I can't remember when, maybe when we previously did this on the anniversary. But it's been a while since I saw this show. There's going to be a lot of cursing in it because that's what I do. And I will get back to what I was talking about in just a minute. What's up, Jody Ramone? We were just talking about you. I shouted you out. All right, hold on one second. Here we go. So this is the very first streaming Evilive show. At the time, it was the Facebook Evilive show. Oh, wait a minute. Before this, I forgot. Totally forgot. We got to do the thing. This is for Rue. This is for you, Rue Moore.
Jeff is gonna talk about the Misfits right now. He's a nerd about this stuff, obsessed anyhow. Jeff never shuts his face, always needs to talk. Might be some weight if he went out for a walk. Do you think Danzig cares? He doesn't care. He's not into ranch.
All right, now we can start the show. So here am I. This is me. This is very self-indulgent, but whatever. I don't care. It's okay. It's okay to be self-indulgent. I'm gonna be self-indulgent. So here I am 3 years ago, same glasses, different hat. And this is me trying to introduce myself to the internet. This is to celebrate our little anniversary. Let's hear.
Who am I? Who am I?
A question nobody asked. Nobody asked that.
Who is a big fan of the Misfits.
Yeah, we know.
And I also am a filmmaker. And I guess I'll start at the beginning. So about 10 years ago, actually more like 12 years ago, I was working on a documentary for a friend in Chicago about George Romero. And
secret origin story.
You've never seen it, but you can look it up. It's called Dead On, The Life and Times of George Romero. It's a fantastic documentary. I hope that sees the light of day someday.
Still not out.
With all these documentary projects.
It's still not out.
Shit just does not come out.
Doesn't come out.
You would be surprised how many documentaries there were attempted about the Misfits, separate from what I'm doing here now, or what I've been trying to do. And this...
By the way, if you are a Patreon and you want to learn more about that project, there's tons of behind the scenes content and commentary. There's so much stuff that's not on the channel that we do in the Patreon. There's secret shows, stuff like that. Jody says to turn up the volume if I can. I think this is as loud as it goes. So it is what it is. I mean, you could always watch the video if you really wanted to.
Project. Like I said, it's about 10 years old. It's been around for a long time. I just never talked about it or posted about it.
It's true.
For a lot of obvious reasons. I kept it off the internet. It wasn't.
It's so true though. Like, don't talk, just do quietly, and you don't have to show people what you're doing. Just do your thing, and then when you got something to show it.
It wasn't until the reunion in 2016 where I was like, holy shit, I got to make a Facebook page for this thing and put it up, and
the origins of They Came from Lodi.
Start it up again. So what happened was I was working on this thing in Chicago about George Romero, and I thought it was the coolest project ever because it's like, I'm a huge George Romero fan, and I loved seeing all these different people in George Romero's life talking about George Romero. There is a George Romero interview in there, but it's really, I thought the most interesting part was all these little voices that you never hear from. And so
in the bath, well, I've talk to the bathroom in the bathroom on Sunday. I remember that whole setup. It's crazy. It's all disassembled now.
It inspired me to kind of, it made me think in my head. I was like, man, no one's ever done this about the Misfits.
And they still haven't.
Nobody's made something on the Misfits. And this must have been around 2009. I was like, wow, how cool would it be to go around, track down some of these guys, interview them, and put this thing together and as a love letter, to the band. And so that's what I started doing. And my first interview was with Mr. Jim, the drummer on the Static Age album. I'm just warning you, this is going to get really fucking nerdy. Like, so disgustingly nerdy. It's ridiculous. Like, we're going to get fucking nerdy. Because you know what the thing is? I've been saying
a lot of cursing in this one.
Misfits fans are the Star Wars nerds of the music world. You know what I'm saying? And, yeah. So I interviewed Mr. Jim, and that started this long quest that...
That's crazy, because that was 13 years ago. That was 13 years ago when I did that, when I first met Mr. Jim. All right, I'm not going to keep watching. This is like going to bore me to tears. As I'm sure it's boring you. Who's this guy? It's weird dolphin man. In any case, the point I was trying to make with all this, and I'm going around in circles, is that like, just from like sitting down and starting to try this thing that I've never done before, this thing has grown. It's, again, very small, but like from just going live on my phone on Facebook, like now here we are 584 shows later. We've got a sponsor for the channel. We've interviewed and had so many guests on. It's just been what a friggin' ride, man. The point being is that like, I found a new identity in the midst of like not being sure of like where I was going. And like, I'm trying to make a second feature and I just can't do it. I can't make a second feature because like, how am I going to make a second feature when, the entire world is shut down and I don't have money for the PPP? Oh, there's my Misfits tattoo. Oh, look how big of a fan I am. And just like slowly, like finding this thing that I feel really passionate about and just doing it. And so that's what I want to offer to anybody who's watching this right now or who doesn't feel fulfilled. Like, go out and try something new and you might find real fulfillment. Like, I never thought that like I would find so much fulfillment and so much entertainment and so much joy in just talking like this to a camera into the ether. And so that's really, and eventually what happened was, long story short, eventually that movie died and was reborn as the sequel to that movie. And the movie got completed. And now I'm working on the next one. And very soon we're going to have a sort of like an audio play table reading right here on the channel. And I'm very, very excited to do it. I've been working on it all week, the script. And so, like I knew it back then, but doing this, like starting to do this like podcast thing or whatever, it sort of like reaffirmed that I am not my day job, or I never was my day job. I am me and the things that I love to do, and the things that I love to do and that I'm proud of. Those are the things that define me, not whatever I do to earn money. And that's something like, and that's hard when you're not making money from your art in a way where you can fully sustain yourself 24/7. I got to tell you, 3 years later, I'm definitely doing it a lot more than I was. That's for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to share that. So if there's something out there that you love doing, if there's something out there that you love doing, go out and do it, man. Just do it. Don't worry about like anything else. Just like put yourself out there, and you never know where your life will take you. And that's all I really wanted to say. It just sounds really corny coming out of my mouth. In my mind, it sounded a lot less corny. But that's just the way it goes. I want to make a very quick announcement about what we are planning with Riot Stickers. So very soon on the channel, I will be unveiling a t-shirt design. It's a limited edition t-shirt design. And the idea here is that at the end, I need to come up with 50 trivia questions. Maybe it'll be 30 trivia questions. I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. But in any case, there's going to be X amount of trivia questions. And every single time we do a show for a set period of time, I am going to ask a trivia question at the end of the show. And you out there will email me the answer. The very first person to email me the answer will be announced, I guess, on the next show, and will be sent a free shirt with free posting with that free design. And it will be, I'm going to be ordering shirts from riotstickers.com. And that's the goal. That's what's going to happen. So basically what's going to happen is you send in your answer, and the very first person to respond correctly with the correct answer, and I'll know because it'll all be time stamped in the email, right? So whoever the first email that comes in, that's the one I'm going to pick. And if it's the right answer, you will get a free shirt and free shipping. And I will ship anywhere in the US. So if you are outside of the US, you are automatically disqualified. And that's only because I have to keep this within the United States. I'm so sorry. It's just the way it is. So basically the way it will work is I will ask a trivia question every show. It's not, now here's the thing. How will I know what size to order? I'm not going to put the order in until everybody has answered the question. That you'll give me your t-shirt size. So I will be ordering exactly what I need in order to ship out, and it will be 100% free. Got it? So free shirt, free shipping to you. All you got to do is answer the trivia question at the end of the episode. Okay? And like I said, I don't know. I can't do a show every single day for X amount of days. It will be too insane. So it will have to be spaced out. But that's the goal. And when I've reached the end, everybody will get their shirts. I'll put the order in. I've already spoken to Sharpie Riot about this, Josh, and it's going down, and it's going to have like a variation of this logo. I think it's going to be called like it's going to be something Misfits related, but with the Frumess logo and all that. That's what it's going to be. And more about that to come, but that is absolutely happening. And the reason why I like this is because it's a way of doing something really fun. It's a way of sending something out to people, and it doesn't involve complicated instructions like the Devilock pageant. That's really, really, really hard. So Dan's on board with this idea. Oh, we got Hot Tub Rob here. What's up, Hot Tub Rob? Thank you for that. And Jody Ramon wants more cereal or snack reviews. I'm trying not to eat sugar right now and junk food. That's why there's been no snack reviews. Okay, I'm eating goji berries. How about that? You heard about goji berries? They're really good for you. All right, let's keep going because I don't have all the time in the world. Now, the title of this video is What the Misfits Mean to Me. And what the Misfits mean to me, well, I literally have spent 500 something shows or however many shows we've done talking about what the Misfits mean to me. So it's not really what the Misfits mean to me. However, I do want to extend that question to anybody in the audience, and I will read your answer if you post your answer in the chat, and I will read your answer. What do the Misfits mean to you? That's like a really abstract question. If you feel like answering it, put your your really silly or your really serious answer in the comments, okay? The reason why this show is called What the Misfits Mean to Me is because there's an article that Josh pointed out to me. Sharpie Riot pointed this out to me. We were talking. He was like, yeah, man, like Jesse Michaels from Operation Ivy listens to the Misfits or likes the Misfits. I'm like, get the F out of here. I just can't imagine the dude from Common Rider and Op Ivy and just being down with Danzig. It's funny. It's kind of polarizing in like the punk rock world. You're either a diehard lover of the Misfits or you find them really corny and goofy. I feel like it's just a straight divide like that. You know what I mean? But in this case, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be interesting to read what Jesse Michaels and some other like lesser I don't want to say no name, but people that I don't really know that well, what they all think about the Misfits. So that's what we are going to do. You have no idea what goji berries are. They're like a superfood. They're like really good for you. And I'm sorry to hear that, Angus. Angus said they had a relative who caught the you-know-what multiple times. She was a nurse. She still cannot taste food to this day. Terrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. I recently joined a punk soccer supporter group called St. Louis City Punks. The slogan is "The Misfits Walk Among Us." That's great. Yeah, so let's read what the Misfits mean to me. This is old. This is from punknews.org. And, here, let's say I'll get to the comments in a minute. Let's look through. First, let's see what does Jesse Michaels of Operation Ivy think about the Misfits. That is really curious to me. Let's see here. There he is. There's Jesse Michaels. Jesse Michaels says the following: no disrespect to latter era Misfits, but this commentary refers to the Danzig era. The Misfits are one of the very best bands of any rock punk genre. Nobody has ever written songs as hauntingly great as those. The only person who comes close in terms of otherworldly spookiness, melodic brilliance is Rocky. I think it's actually Rocky Erickson. Obviously, the whole shtick is over the top campy and the lyrics make absolutely no sense, but that only adds to the charm, as does the lo-fi attack. They have some flawed stuff, and the tuning issues on Earth AD can even challenge a die-hard garage ghoul. But songs like Skulls, Where Eagles Dare, and so on are unforgettable, total classics. People like to ironically make fun of Glenn Danzig, but if all he ever did was write, say, hate breeders, he still would have contributed more to the world than every sarcastic internet nerd put together. Long live the Misfits. At their best, they were one of the best rock and roll bands to ever strike a note. I mean, that is shocking. I just never would expect that from a guy like Jesse Michaels, like who just, what words, man, what words. That's oof. Keep those sentiments coming in the comments. We'll read through them after this. This is from Andy Lefton from War-Plague. I don't know War or Plague. If anybody knows, I don't know. But this is from a guy named Andy, and he has a Empire from the Star Wars Empire logo tattooed on his arm. He says, the Misfits broke up in 1983 and left an impact on me that would forever change the trajectory of my life. It was around 1988, and if memory serves me right, I was in the 7th grade. After getting off the bus from school one day, a friend approached me and said, "My mom won't let me have this. You want it?" and proceeded to hand over a cassette tape. It was odd, with lots of purple, black, and green colors, and said, "Misfits, Walk Among Us." Never heard of them, but without hesitation, I took it and threw it into my bag, hopped on my GT, which is a bike, a BMX bike, if you don't know what that is, and rode home. Throughout the 80s, I did a bit of breakdancing and had a mild interest in hair metal. So my flavors varied from Nucleus, Run DMC to Def Leppard and Van Halen. I was fanatical about music, but had limited means as I was stuck in a very small town in Colorado called Meade. Upon arriving at my family's trailer, I immediately ran into my room to throw in this Misfits tape and can honestly say that that moment changed everything. I was completely floored. The tape stayed in my boombox until the ribbon stretched. I remember obsessively looking over the album art and every nuance that it had to offer. The imagery, the lyrics, and emotion captivated me and forged a path to being a lifelong fan. I'd always carry extra batteries with me everywhere I went in case my Walkman died. I remember studying the layers of guitars and feedback, listening to Earth AD and the epic woes of Astro Zombies, my personal favorite. The primal analog production mixed with melodies that can never be imitated. I'm happy to be a part of something that was a one-time thing. It'll never be replicated and will remain infinitely relevant. As we got older, friends got their driver's license, and I was able to escape my small town and make it to the mall, where Disc Jockey had a very small area of punk and hardcore. This is where I would obsessively scan the tapes for anything Misfits. We all did that. I did that. That is just something you do. I was able to find Earth AD, Legacy of Brutality, etc., and my love for this band grew even more. By the time I was 18, I was hitting up Wax Trax Records in Boulder, finding 7 inches and anything on vinyl related to the Misfits. I still have these records and bring them out every Halloween. Personally, it's a bit difficult to put into words the impact this music had on me, but it was incredibly powerful, a sort of metamorphosis as I didn't quite know where I was going and never really followed a specific crowd. This experience gave me a tribe to run with and can honestly say it brought me to where I am today. I'd like to thank my friend for that tape, but I can't even remember his name. It's crazy that something as minuscule as handing over a cassette tape can completely change you as a person. It could have been any band, really, but this was meant to be. This path ultimately brought me deeper into the world of music. I now play guitar in War Plague. I also work as a 3D animator filmmaker, and the last few years, I've been finding time to do a Misfits Sam Hain tribute animation every year. The image of the band still gets me fired up from Halloween, and I love to bring that stuff to life. Wow, look at this. I've never seen this before. Let's take a look. This is from Andy. Cool. Look what he put together. Oh my God. They should have him friggin' Glenn Danzig should hire this dude to do the graphics up on the LCD screen for the live Misfit shows coming. Isn't that perfect? Look at that thing. God, I love that pumpkin. Don't you just love that friggin' pumpkin? Just so you know, I see comments populating. In case you are just joining us, I'm asking everybody to write in the comments what the Misfits mean to you, and then I'm going to read them at the end of the episode. We're just going to keep going for a little bit longer, and then we'll go to that. This is like an anniversary episode of sorts, and I'm feeling extra sentimental and emotional tonight because I just can't believe, I'm still doing this and that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that like doing this was like brought great structure to my life at a time where I was feeling very lost. And I'm just so grateful. And I'm grateful that like I met so many of you guys that come into the chat and like, talk with me and do this stuff with me. So I just want to say thanks. Whoa, crap. We lost the thing. Let's get it back here. I'm going to reshare that. Hold on, sharing my screen. Here we go. Let's read another one. So that was from Andy Lefton from War Plague. Cool, Andy. Thanks for that. Truly. Here's Andy with somebody else. All right. Oh no, sorry. So this is Javier Van Haas from 18 Visions and Poison the Well. More bands that I don't know, but that's okay. Sometimes you don't know a band, and sometimes you do, and it could be a real sticky situation. And you know what else is sticky? Riot Stickers. That's right. This channel is sponsored by riotstickers.com. In case you didn't know, again, CEO Sharpie Riot, who actually provided this article for us to read, or at least sent me. Yeah, I think he sent me the article. I was like, definitely going to do something with this someday. He is the CEO of riotstickers.com, who powers the channel. We have a special deal going with Riot Stickers. You can only get this deal right here on the channel. And basically what it is you can get 1,000 stickers for $79. So if you have something that you need printed on a sticker, imagine having 1,000 stickers at your disposal. That's 7 cents per sticker. That's unbelievable. 7 cents per sticker. These are printed on vinyl. They have UV protection. There's like a UV protective coating to protect it from the sun. They'll last forever. And we got a special deal. Down in the description of this video, you are going to find a link that will take you to this deal. It's the only place you can get this deal. 1,000 stickers for $79. Riot Stickers is the same place where we'll be printing up those t-shirts in the near future, those free shirts. And what else was I going to say? Additionally, you'll notice down in the comments, you'll notice something called FrumessMAIL@gmail.com. And what I'm hoping to do is I'm trying to direct people write to me all the time. I'm not saying this in any kind of conceited way, because I feel self-conscious in that sort of way when I say something like that. I really don't mean it. It's like legit true. I get messages from all sorts of inboxes on Instagram and Facebook, and they overwhelm me and bring me anxiety, and it's hard to respond to everything. And so I thought, what better way than consolidate everything? I created a Gmail especially for people that want to write in to communicate in some way, shape, or form. So that way I could check one inbox instead of a bunch of inboxes. So go to FrumessMAIL@gmail.com. Okay. That is the place to write me a message if you had something that you wanted to say to me, whether you want to be angry at me or you want to make a suggestion, or you're just stoked and just want to say, share a story in something related to something we talked about on the channel. That's the place to go and do it. Here is our 60-second video, riotstickers.com.
We make stickers, banners, and buttons too, posters and promo cards. There's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads, we can print on shirts, we can print on hats, we can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality, quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support, great customer service, and so much more. Riotstickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb.
Yeah, baby, riotstickers.com. Okay. Let's read about this, what this guy Javier has to say about the Misfits. What did the Misfits mean to Javier Van Haas? Does anybody know these people, Javier or this other guy, Andy? You tell me. You know these guys? All right, this is from a guy who was in a band called Poison the Well and 18 Visions. It's a strange thing to hear a 15-year-old say, I RAPED your mother today, but that's what happened to me. I have 3 children, and I do not adjust my music in the car to cater to their needs. This has resulted in them being exposed to all sorts of scary things, including Danzig's lyrics. I remember my love of the Misfits started at age 15 myself, as did mine. As a result of being super into skateboarding, and specifically Thrasher magazine. Collection 1 on cassette was the first of Danzig's musical endeavors that I purchased with my own money. My first garage band in 1992 covered Skulls. I attended the concert recorded live on Thrall Demon Sweat Live. It's Thrall Demon Sweat Live at Irvine Meadows. Danzig was a part of my experience growing up, so it's not surprising that it's been part of my children's. I totally understand the broad appeal. The Misfits are not quite punk, not quite rock and roll. They're totally punk. They're totally rock and roll, but obviously weirdly different enough to be accepted by people who are into those things. That's a weird sentence, but okay. The Crimson Ghost logo is a tribal marking. Yeah, I agree with that. Wow, that's a great way to put it. Tribal marking it is. The Crimson Ghost logo is a tribal marking and a surefire conversation starter in public. Absolutely, dude. I agree, Javier. It's considered a guarded and coveted subculture within the underground. Yep. The lyrics are somehow cryptic yet accessible and catchy, so singing along is easy, even if you don't know what they mean or what they actually are. I mean, that's my favorite question to ask when I was conducting interviews for that project. I'd always ask me, I was like, if you go to a Misfits show and it's your first time, you may not know the lyrics to any of the words, but you know how to go whoa. You know how to sing whoa. And therefore, because you know how to whoa, you can still participate. You can still be included in this band. Sorry, that's so bad. Which brings us back to children singing along, songs about remembering Halloween, not being a son of a bitch, and having that fucking attitude have become a part of our own personal cultural landscape. I can't imagine what long-term effect this has on us, but we will find out. I mean, even just the fact that, when Texas comes up in the conversation and you just go, yeah, Texas is the reason. And people, there's a band called Texas is the Reason. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Well, I did know that eventually. But, I don't know. I've talked about my children on the show. I have a 3-year-old, soon to be 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old going on 8. And they both have heard some Misfits stuff. And I used to sing Misfits songs, kind of in a lullaby kind of way to my son. I used to sing Skulls, to my daughter. And my wife would turn to me and be like, what the F is wrong with you, man? Or stop. But, it's funny. It's funny, but I would sing it all cutesy, the corpses all hang headless and limp, bodies with no surprises, and the blood drains down like a devil. I mean, to to any little kid, that's going to sound friendly. But there is something kind of macabre and tongue in cheek about being I want your skull. It's just, I don't know. It's great, man. I mean, when he sings, I want your skull, I need your skull. It's not just a desire. It's a lamentation of how desperately skulls are needed. For what purpose? I don't know, but it really is. It's so friggin' brilliant. It really is. All right. This is from a guy called Christopher Jesus from Crazy in the Brains, which is a band that actually Sharpie was talking about when he was referencing this article. So there you go. And again, I see the comments filling up. We're going to go back to them. I promise we're going to get to the comments. This is from Christoph Jesus from Crazy in the Brains. Let me take a little seltzer just to wet the whistle here. Coming from New Jersey, you are guaranteed to love 2 things: chicken parm and the Misfits. Misfits came out of North Jersey, a place that is inherently creepy. Bergen County. Ugly factories, polluted. No. Newark is the place where there's ugly factories and polluted air. Bergen is a really nice, quaint, suburban sort of area. Yeah, maybe it's got a little industrial bend to it, but it's a pretty quaint, it's a pretty quaint suburb, man. Or nestle of suburbs, because they're all townships. They have these little townships, They left an indelible mark on NJ punk rock in general, and all those, and pioneered horror punk. I mean, yeah, I don't know how that's a weird sentence too, but whatever. They are revered where I come from. They were the perfect bridge between the 1960s music of my parents' era and the FU aggression of punk hardcore, they only could have come out of exactly where they were from. The time and place were perfect. They have fans of every type of background, which is, again, someone who's a diehard metalhead, and big fan of Metallica is going to be a fan of the Misfits in the same way that like a hardcore meathead is. And these guys would never get along on any other sort of subject but the Misfits. The Misfits skull has had a huge impact on pop culture as well. You see that thing all over the effing globe. I will say they're easily among the top 5 or at least top 10 favorite band list of most punk rockers. Absolutely. All right, I made my point. So slap on your Earth AD record, order up a large chicken parm sandwich from Joe's Pizza. All right, this guy, sorry, Christoph, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. Steve Zing would be very mad with you with your request, because he would correct you immediately and say, if you're going to get a chicken parm sandwich, it better be from Lodi Pizza, not Joe's Pizza. Come on, crack open an Old English and enjoy a brutally New Jersey night. P.S. I am strictly speaking about Danzig era Misfits 1977 to 1983. As far as I'm concerned, they did not make any more records after Glenn left the band. I believe at that point, Jerry only moved to Costa Rica and gave boat tours under the name Juan Pablo. Danzig kept making music and doing push-ups, though. See ya. Okay. All right, this is from a guy named Travis Yablon from a band called Fat Heaven. Okay. I imagine my Misfits discovery was the opposite for me compared to most people, as I was introduced to Danzig first. That's quite common, actually. It's not that weird. I was still in diapers when my dad would play Mother around the house, and it wasn't until years later that I'd heard Hybrid Moments for the first time and immediately recognized the voice. From there, I was absolutely hooked on the Misfits. I went back and I listened to everything I could find. They just completely 100% appealed to everything I liked or wanted in music. Horror, humor, fast, catchy. I mean, Jerry and Doyle even wrestled in WCW at one point. They ticked all the boxes. Not only are they one of the most influential punk bands and pioneered horror punk, but they were also so versatile within the genre. Each song was remarkably different while sounding unmistakably like the Misfits, from rockabilly to hardcore and all in between. They just have what I consider perfect song after perfect song for the entire era Danzig was around. I was asked at work a few days ago, if you were to get a tattoo of a band, which band would it be? The answer was easy, because I already have a Misfits tattoo, as do I, yada, yada, yada. And it's interesting to hear how people talk. Like, you could tell their age. Like, anybody who's talking about horror punk is clearly younger, or, probably leaning younger than someone like I don't know. I just think it's kind of interesting how people like describe, but an overwhelming theme here is, I mean, I don't know if these people are authorities on anything, but I do agree. I really, and this is outside of my bias, I really do. I think about all the bands that are touched by the Misfits, that like are affected by the Misfits. And I have to say, they have to be, maybe in the top 5 absolutely most influential bands, punk bands of all time. And, some people would correct me and they'd put the Clash and the Ramones and the Pistols and the Damned and, just whatever, but there's so many other bands that might come before. But here's the thing. I'm not just thinking about those bands. I'm thinking about I'm thinking about the area of which, the musical area of which the Misfits stretch that those bands don't. And conversely, think about all of the metal bands that have been influenced by the Misfits in some way, shape, or form, that none of those bands sort of have any kind of grip. They don't have the same grip. And I don't know. I just think the Misfits, they just stretch farther in so many ways. And again, maybe I'm biased. I've also made the bold assumption that after the Beatles, it is arguable to say that the Ramones might be the most influential band of all time. I mean, they are, when you think about the Ramones' impact on alternative music. And sure, you know, by proxy, you could say the Stooges fall into that category as well. And it gets convoluted. It's not a contest, man. It's really not. But like when you think about how far and how deep the impact of a band like the Ramones is, you know what I mean? Like they are really they are probably they're absolutely number one, I think, when it comes to punk rock. I really do. I used to say Iggy and the Stooges, but when I really and you know, I would say it goes Ramones, then it comes then the Pistols. Oh man, that is a really tough list. That is a really, really tough list. All right, sorry, I'm getting lost here. This is from Ray Finkel from Aspiga, Insignificant Others, and Mitchell. Never heard of any of these bands. They say that the sense of smell is very powerful in invoking memories of a time and place that heavily resonates with you. That is true. I feel like the same can be said about the sense of sound. Absolutely. I threw on Misfits Collection 1 to refresh my memory of when I was first exposed to the Misfits, and faint, distant images of my teenage bedroom came to mind. My favorite way to find out about music has always been through the word of mouth and conversing with a friend. In a time before the internet was in full swing, this is how I stumbled onto the Misfits. A fellow teenage high school chum driving us around in their parents' car. But let's rewind to an even earlier time of musical consumption. In my formative years, my parents raised me on the radio, specifically the local oldies station. Again, this is a stark contrast to the pre-internet days to now, where the musical thirst drove us to the only free option at hand, the radio. The local oldies station playing the top 40 of the 1950s and 60s nonstop doo-wop, Motown, and early rock and roll. A wonderful musical introduction course for the genres that would come into play later on in my life. Now let's take a brief pause to discuss how large the horror genre fan base is. Members of the horror community can be found in the fandoms of any genre of music, from rock to punk and metal to every subgenre beneath. Regardless of musical taste, it seems like one can have a conversation with anyone at any show about horror movies. My first job was at a Blockbuster video store, if you remember those. So I binged on all of the movies they had, along with renting videos from smaller stores that carried horror films, not quite family enough for the chain video rental store. Well, short story long, if you throw all of those ingredients together, the outcome might just be the Misfits, the horror punk pioneers whose songs nod to the sound of the 50s and 60s with a twist of gothic lyrical imagery, a dark sense of humor, all the while steadily riding the wave into the 80s hardcore punk movement. They have a long-reaching and lasting influence of the Ramones for those darker punk and rock genres. From my rare bootleg DVDs to my folk punk acoustic project with accordion to the countless Fiend Skulls and Fiend Skull parody art I own to the 7-inch flexi-disc bootleg of their songs played on a poorly recorded church organ that I found at a random in Canada. At a random record store in Canada. You're missing the word record store. To the Nutley Brass band lounge renditions. Thanks, Jerry, for that. To the tattoo on my arm, and to finally seeing them together on the stage for the first time in over 30 years. The Misfits have meant a great deal to me throughout the duration of my life and still do. Thank you for reading this. And man, doesn't that, like everything I just said about how much influence the Misfits have, in the same way that the Ramones have like this widespread influence, he just nailed it perfectly. I must hand it to Ray Finkel, who perfectly nails like what is that overlying thing. It's not just from a musical place, it's also from the Misfits reference lots of pop culture. I mean, a lot of bands reference pop culture, but there's something about the Misfits. They write about horror movies, or there's a lot of horror movie imagery, and therefore that's like this extra bridge that allows you to maybe connect with that as I was saying, that metalhead or whatever, just some other person who's outside of the subgenre or subculture that you're into. It's pretty interesting. Okay, that's the end. That's the end of the article. Let's go to the comments and we'll wrap everything up. All right, I'm going back up. So once again, I'm going to write this one more time, and then when I get to the mother effing bottom, we're going to piece out of here. My question to you, if you haven't written it already, is what do the Misfits mean to you? And I guess to reiterate, as I said, I've sort of talked about this, in various different ways over, the last 3 years. But basically what the Misfits mean to me is a sense of identity and belonging when I didn't really feel any. I've told this story in the past. I think this story really sort of sums it up for me. And this is apart from the story, because I love the story of the Misfits. That's why I'm so attracted to this stuff. The story, it's a beautiful story, man, to me, about creating your own art and finding an audience and connecting directly with that audience and creating something with great impact that left a beautiful corpse that people are still obsessing over, almost 5 decades later, right? 5 decades later. This is it's not really a story, but basically when I was younger, I used to have my nose used to stick out a lot more because my face wasn't as fat. I had a skinnier face. So I had a bigger nose, and kids used to call me Gonzo. And if they didn't call me Gonzo, they called me, I was also known as the boy from Mars, because I was, ADHD, weird, wacky, whatever you want to call it. So I was the boy from Mars, and, I was an alien. I was not from this planet. And, to hear a song like I Turned Into a Martian, like it floored me, man. It floored me even as a teenager. I mean, all of those songs floored me, but just this idea that I could be proud of the fact that maybe I do come from Mars. I turned into a Martian. I can't even recall my name. To embrace this thing that made me feel like an outsider. And that's what the Misfits mean to me, a sense of belonging, a wavelength that perhaps others are not dialed into. And I'll love them forever, no matter what happens, no matter what has happened, whatever may come. That will never change for me, and I love them for that. Okay, let's see what all of you have said. We'll start with Jody Ramone here. Says, without the Misfits, I'd be without the Misfits, so I'd be sad. That's what it means to me. Okay. That sounds like you've written that was your homework for school, and you didn't really know how you wanted to answer it in that moment. So you just sort of reiterated what the question was as your answer. So I'll give you a C+. This is from S23 GFD. The Misfits mean that some of the most powerful music is overlooked as campy, but Glenn is a genius and their music is timeless. That's cool. This is from, I can't see because of the stupid friggin', there we go. This is from the Paul Smackage brother. The Paul Smackage brother. The Misfits mean the world to me because Doyle is sorry, I'm not laughing at you. Let me take that again. The Misfits mean the world to me because Doyle is a spooky Hulk Hogan and kooky Uncle Glenn is a conspiracy theorist. And last but not least, Uncle Jer always does it for the kids. I love that. For the kids, right? For the kids. Love it. Love it. That's great. That's great. Biz says, you guys are the only Misfits community I've ever chit-chatted with. I didn't know they were divisive amongst rock fans till now. I don't know if they're divisive, but there are some people out there who are just think the Misfits are super corny, and generally they're I don't know. I feel like that contingent is a sort of like an older, grumpier, curmudgeon-y contingent who maybe were a few years too late to seeing them live, but saw a lot of great, like, punk and hardcore in the 80s, or maybe they did catch them live and just kind of wrote them off as like the Spooky Kiss, like that they always get written off as Spooky Kiss. DLW says, I just came home from a deviated septum surgery, bleeding like a pig, feeling like a Misfits song. I wishing your deviated septum a strong healing process, and I hope that they tell me I have a deviated septum. I'm not tasting or smelling like 60% of what I could be, and I just never gotten it fixed. So maybe I'll join you someday. In any case, I'm wishing you a full, strong recovery, and I hope everything that you eat and drink and smell tastes really, or is stronger and more effective. But rest up and be well, DLW. We have Hot Tub Rob here. BMAC Hot Tub Rob says, Jeff, I was a skater kid in 1986, and the imagery and awesome sound was unlike anything else. I felt validated as an outsider and that I had a special secret in the Misfits. Yeah, that's a huge element too. The Misfits are a special secret. And when you see someone else, how many times have I said this on the show? When you see somebody else rocking that special secret, you feel an affinity, and it's a great feeling. Dan says, to me, they mean great lyrics, great music, and great melodies. Catchy riffs, and Glenn's vocals are some of the best in punk, metal, or hard rock. I've been a fan for decades. Love it. Love it. Hot Tub Rob also says, later became my intro into guitar as I learned every single song and had a cover band. All the while, I've loved Glenn's self-determination and don't give a crap attitude, what others want you to do. That's great. And yeah, that's okay. I think you just summed up the perfect word for what I love so much about the Misfit story. It is a story of self-determination, and that's how I live my life. I live my life by self-determination, like for all intents and purposes. I never should have been able to complete the 2 features that I set out to do. And through self-determination, I was able to do that. And, now I'm working on the 3rd and some other things. And so self-determination is like a theme that I identify with in my life, and I see it so clearly. It's such an inspiration. The Misfits are such an inspiration in that kind of way. That self-determination. I'm going to do my own pump. I'm going to do my own record label. I'm going to put out my own music. I'm going to start my own record list. I'm going to do my own thing. And, to an extent, that's kind of like what this channel is for me now. It's kind of like my own little self-determination to have my own little broadcasting studio, because that's what I think of it as. This is just a broadcasting studio to just, beam out, stuff out into the world. And yeah, I don't know. But the Misfits definitely mean some of that too. In that way, I love that self-determination. Save the Kids says, my entire youth after 12 years old in 1984, wearing a black jean jacket with a huge Fiend Club patch on the back of it, displaying 10 different Misfits buttons, some homemade. Earth AD was the beginning. That's awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing. Save the Kids also says, Poison the Wells, the opposite of December, is one of the best albums ever. Give it a shot. You will agree. I am always open to music, so I will give it a shot. I will check it out. I know I could Google this, but I'm in the middle of a show right now. What is the genre? Give me give me some sort of like description of Poison the Well to help me better understand. I will check out that album, The Opposite of December. Cool. I'll check that out on Spotify. Dan says, big thanks to you, Jeff, for providing endless hours of content, rants, and information on one of the greatest bands on this planet or any other. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. And thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting, and thank you for contributing in the comments. I love all you guys talking in the comments. It's great. It's great. It helps keep the show going, because when we bounce off each other, right? So it's great. Thank you, Dan.
Pop punk, but hey, what's up, you punks? That's Matt John. Mom Longoria, what's up? Saying, hey Jeff, thanks for all you do. You help me keep sane during the pandemic, my recent pregnancy. Okay, Mazel Tov, Mom, on your recent pregnancy. And is your baby born yet? Or are you still gestating? What's going on? In any case, many mazel tovs to you and your family. That's awesome. Angus says, I enjoy how enthusiastic you are when you are live streaming. You always have something interesting to say, whether you are talking about music, films, food, or bizarre historical facts. Thank you, man. Angus, thank you for your support. And thank you for always jumping in the comments and contributing in some way, shape, or form. I really do appreciate it. And I'm glad you enjoy it too, man. Yes, I know, Mom. I know this. There are Misfits lullaby covers. Yes. So I'm not the only one. Mom lets her kids listen to those covers at night. There you go. HMX Band says, that's Jake, right? Jake is your name? HMX Band says, even though this is live right now, I'm exhausted. I've been sick. I'm going to watch the whole thing tomorrow. Feel better, man. Feel better. Don't forget Black Flag. Yeah, Black Flag, deeply influential band. Absolutely. Jake says, but the list of how they influenced and what they mean to me is immeasurable. Glad they booked another couple of reunion shows. Might go down to the Prudential again. Dagger Love saying, yeah, Dagger Love's going to Prudential. Misfits are a way of life. I was a teenage misfit. Dagger, I gave you a shout out at the beginning of the show. It's the anniversary from when we first started. And Dagger, you were there at the very beginning along with Rue Morgue. So big shout out to you. And I can't believe we're still doing this 3 years later. It's crazy. Matt Johnson says, it's really not that big of a deal. 3 years is like a very small amount of time. But again, because of this particular 3 years, it really does feel like 5 years or like 10 years. No, not 10 years. Come on, Jeff. 10 years. It's not 10 years. It feels like way longer than 3 years, though. Like, you have to admit, it feels longer than 3 years. Matt John says, Ramones were my premier punk band, but Misfits were fun. I had so many fun, brief combos about them with cool chicks and dudes and some dumb ones too. Dr. Airlift says, the Misfits for me is the perfect marriage of Beatle-esque melodies against punk thrash music and also has the underground coolness as well as a large mystique. You know, I love that you mentioned Beatle-esque melodies because nobody ever wants to mix the Beatles with the Misfits. And I'm sure Glenn Danzig would be the first one to retch at such a thing. But, you know, and I'm not saying that they are Beatle-esque particularly, but in terms of like pop sensibilities, that it's pop, dude. And that's what we talked about that last night with Larry the Wolf. It's freaking power pop, dude. He said the Ramones were power pop, but the Misfits are pop too, man. A lot of that stuff, those hooks, man. Amy, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Amy, I gave you a shout out too at the beginning. She says, the first song I heard from the Misfits was Last Caress at age 8. I was instantly hooked. They're super catchy 50s rock and roll with snarling aggression of hardcore. Hi, love your channel. Cough cool. Thank you, Amy. I really do appreciate it. Amy is another one who has been around for a long time, always jumping in, whatever the topic is, always weighing in, very knowledgeable. Appreciate you, Amy. And thank you for the support, truly. Biz says, I just love listening to their music and their antics are bizarre and entertaining. They sure are. And they make for great conversation. They do. Angus says, the Misfits were a band who the person I married enjoyed, laughed at, and caught many rhythms with. Sadly, the marriage didn't last, but that doesn't spoil the music for me. Of course not. And, you know, it sounds like the music, maybe it holds positive memories with within whatever that relationship might have been on some level, on some positive level, and something positive to come from that in that way. I don't know. Maybe I'm just putting my foot in my mouth, but thank you for sharing that, Angus, truly. Freaking thanks, Jeff. The baby will be 2 months next week. Awesome. That is great. I hope you're getting sleep. And what a blessing. And again, many mazel tovs. That's great. Astro Zombies says, the Misfits mean a lot to me because their music helped me discover what makes me, well, me. From growing up on horror movies and comic books, to me discovering the band was just a gold mine of a find. You know, on a very simple base level, that is so succinct, man. That's so truthful. I mean, that's so like real, and I so relate to that too, man. It's true. Like, it helped me discover me, and that's an extension of that. Like, I turned into a Martian. That's like, okay, I'm not like, I don't fit in the way that I need to fit in, and maybe I am a Martian, and maybe that's okay, and that's it. And just like when you hear that song, the woes, and the way that you get that little, like the closest thing to a guitar solo that's in a Misfits song, and it just pumps you up and makes you feel good about being an outsider or about being someone who doesn't fit. Sorry, I have to walk away from that. Okay, I'm back. That was so bad. That was so bad. Rue Morgan, the house. Rue, we gave you a big shout out, man. We gave you a big shout. He says, can't believe it's been 3 years already. Thank you, Jeff, for entertaining me over the years. Oh my God, Rue. Oh my God. How could I forget Runner's Dial Zero? I was naming like names like throughout like the last 3 years. Runner's Dial Zero has been around a long time in the chat, always coming in, dropping in, supporting and whatnot. Shout out to Runner's Dial Zero for sure. Typing what the Misfits means to me would have to be an essay or something. One thing they taught me is how amazing music could sound, and it didn't need to like a Metallica. No, it didn't need a Metallica or YouTube budget and producer. Well stated. Jared is here, and he says, besides being the greatest band ever, in my opinion, the Misfits got me into physical fitness. That's interesting. Is that because like Jerry and Doyle are always like working out and stuff, and like Danzig's like, was muscular in the 90s? Kind of curious, Jared. Runner says, and yeah, 0 bad songs from 77 to 83. There are like 50 something of them, I believe. Okay, so if we're talking about songs that were officially released from 77 all the way up, like posthumously, like, on box set and everything, there's 54-ish songs. If you include Mephisto Waltz, there's 54 songs. And if you're a Patreon, I asked Erie Vaughn about that, because Erie recorded Mephisto Waltz with Glenn, and I asked him, do you think it's a Misfits song or do you think it's a Sam Hain song? And if you're a Patreon, you will know what he said. And that brings us to the end. I'm just going to say it one last time. If you were just joining us, what do the Misfits mean to you? We already read the article through. This is our 3-year anniversary show, and yeah, we got stuff coming up the pike. I can't wait. I'm really excited for the play, you guys, the audio play, which is my original narrative screenplay, My Shadow. And I talked about that in an episode. Go check that out. That is going to be so much fun. And what I want you to do, if you decide to join us for this original narrative that I have written, the idea is that it's going to be like a roundtable reading. I'm going to have people reading the parts of the screenplay, and you got to turn off all the lights in the room you're in, maybe light a candle, maybe some incense, like kick back, and you just have to like stare at the ceiling, or you can look at your computer screen, but the goal is that you sort of paint a picture of what you're hearing in your mind, like you kind of like an audio book or but really just like a radio drama, that kind of thing. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I'm really, really, really excited. And eventually that will be the next feature length film. And I would definitely say it's got some really grisly stuff, some fun stuff, campy, midnight, weirdo stuff. So if you like any of that stuff, you're going to really like that. Jared says, absolutely. We were asking Jared about what the fitness thing or how the Misfits got into fitness. And he said, they showed me in high school that it was okay to be into lifting weights without being a dumb jock. That's great. That's really great. And, I'd say lifting weights is a pretty positive thing, anything that you're doing to keep your body in a good shape, it's a good thing. Matt John says, I think Evilive was the first Misfits I heard, and it always amused me how do-it-yourself and chaotic it is. I think the first Misfits I ever heard was Last Caress. And then, so the first 3 songs I heard were Last Caress, Ghouls Night Out, and then Day of the Dead, which sounded different from Ghouls Night Out and Last Caress. And I didn't understand why that was. I'm like, wait, why is this is weird? But this is also the Misfits. And I didn't know that there were 2 singers at the time. I didn't or whatever. I didn't know that Graves was, whatever. I didn't know about the Graves band. And man, I got to tell you, I tried to show all my friends Last Caress and none of them got it. They all looked at me like I had 11 billion heads. They were like, what is this crap? Nobody wanted to listen to that. And when I finally met Misfits fans that were into the Misfits, it was such a friggin', I don't even know. Like, it just, I was so excited. I was so floored in a way that I hadn't been floored when I had met somebody else who was maybe into, I don't know, what was I into before? I don't know. Just like if I was into, I don't know, Star Wars or something, I don't know. But like it was something about like meeting someone who A, knew who the Misfits were, and B, loved them as much as I did. Oh my God, what a friggin' it was just like finding a piece of the puzzle or something. I don't even know. It's late. I gotta wake up early in the morning once again. Wife is out of the country, so I am on full kid duty, man. That's 6:30 every morning, doing the breakfast, making lunch, making sure they get on the bus, yada yada yada. And so I'm gonna go to bed because it is like hell when I'm not prepared in the morning. Oh my God, like I gotta like prep everything the night before. So I'm gonna do that now and then get to sleep and wake up for them. But I just want to thank you all again. And again, just to reiterate, to sandwich in the message that I said at the beginning, do something, if you were like me, like at the time I was, when I was starting to do this thing that like I found that like I really love doing and that I feel like I excel at in some way, shape, or form. Like if you have something like that in your life, don't wait a second longer. Just go out and do it. Go out and do something. Go out and do the thing that makes you feel good about yourself and that you feel passionate about and that makes you like, like yourself in that kind of way. It's just so worth it, man. It just, it gives new meaning. It gives new meaning and it puts a spring in your step. I don't know what else to say about it. Back in high school, Astro Zombie says, back in high school, my best friend was curious of what I was blasting in my headphones, and I let him listen to it, and it was Bullet, and he looked at me as if I had shot Kennedy myself. Ooh. Dan is asking if I'm going to ask the contest question. So to reiterate what I said earlier, we're going to be doing, so the plan is that I'm going to be designing a Frumess themed t-shirt. Yes, it's going to have like a Misfits vibe to it. I kind of have an idea for what I want the design to be. And I'm going to have Riot Stickers print up a certain number of shirts. Now, here's the thing. These shirts are not going to be for sale. They are going to be free, and they're going to be for people that answer, the first person to answer a specific question that I ask at the end of an episode. And normally, right now, I would ask that question. I have not prepared any of that stuff yet. I just wanted to let you guys all know about it, that it is coming. Very, very, very soon. I will be unveiling the design very, very, very soon. and to keep your eyes peeled. So at the end of an episode, you stick around to the end of the episode and you answer the question in real time as fast as you possibly can. Now, I can't, like, if you Google it and you look it up, I guess that's fair play. I hope you don't, but like, that's fair play. The first person to get the answer into my inbox is the person who I will ask for your mailing info, and I will be sending you a t-shirt free of charge. That restriction, unfortunately, is limited to the continental United States. So if you are outside of the continental United States, you will not be eligible for this offer. I'm so sorry. It's just the way it is. But I will cover the cost of the shirt, and I will cover the cost of the shipping, and I will send it to you. That's my plan. That's the plan, Stan. And you won't get it immediately because I have to get, again, it's going to be a limited run of shirts. That's going to be one and done. So if you have this shirt, you have this shirt, and that's it. So basically, I have to wait until I have everybody's size, and then I'm going to put in the order, and then I will get the shirts out. That's the plan. Okay. So keep your eyes peeled, and we'll talk real soon about that. Again, I just want to thank how could I forget Crazy White Boy? Holy crap. CWB, man, I'm so sorry. You deserve a shout out. And Ben is here from time to time. Ben says, being into goth and horror, the Misfits embody the love for all things dark and spooky, even the occulty stuff you're not supposed to know about. Their vibe left a permanent mark on this horror kid. And Crazy White Boy says, awesome episode. Keep up the great work. I catch you live when I'm able. I really do appreciate your support, Crazy White Boy. Rue says, thank you, Mr. Frumess, for everything you do for us fiends. Thank you, man. Thank you, Rue. I really do appreciate it, man. Means the world coming from you. Amy says, I'm a vegan like Doyle, and I bought his vegan Monster protein shake. One of the many reasons I love the Misfits. Amy, how does it taste? What do you got? You got the chocolate one or you got the vanilla one? I hear that there was a whole lot of sort of research that went into that proprietary blend. Oh, Ema's been here as of late, always weighing in and stuff. Love this channel. Thank you for the content. And Ema, you said such lovely things about my musical compositions. Thank you. That was really sweet of you. I really appreciate that. I sometimes I make little musical compositions myself. But yes, thank you for watching. So yeah, to reiterate, there's a Patreon, people. Check out the Patreon, check out the YouTube memberships. Lots of secret content in there. We got secret shows dropping on the 27th. As well as we got the whatchamacallit. We got the John Christ interview coming too. Check that out. Okay, Amy got the chocolate one, and she says it's very good. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Amy. All right, guys, I'm doing it. Peace, hair grease. You know the deal. Thank you so much. Here's to another year. We'll take it year by year. We'll see how it goes. Don't know if it'll be forever, but I love doing this. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. So, Patreon.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jeff. So I've decided to make a Patreon. What is Patreon? I don't know how to define a Patreon. Let me look it up. Patreon is a membership platform that makes it very easy for creators to get paid for the things that they're already creating. I want to do it full-time. I want this to be my full-time job. In my efforts to make that happen, I've set up this platform. Is it going to work? Is it going to be successful? I don't know, but I would rather try and crash and burn than not try at all. The goal is to create enough passive revenue so that I can continue to do this full-time, uninterrupted. Why? Because I love to do this. I love creating content. I love making videos. I love shooting films. I love doing podcasts. In case you couldn't tell, I love to talk and I never shut the fuck up. So right now I've kept the Patreon incredibly simple. There's 2 tiers, and that may change in the future. The Murdergram is a simple way to extend support for all of the hours and hours of free content on the channel for nothing more than $1. 38 cents goes to Patreon. What's $1.38, eh? It's less than a cup of coffee, but it's a great way that you can show support for very little effort. When you divide that $1.38 by the hours and hours and hours
of time spent listening to this endless drivel of content, the dollar cost average works out. Next up is the YouTube Casualty for $6.66. The YouTube Casualty is loaded to the gills. Enjoy the archive ad-free, as well as ad-free early access to special docu-style podcast videos, music reaction commentaries, and the like, a month before they drop on YouTube, loaded with ads, I might add. You're also going to get exclusive content and behind-the-scenes content that is not available on YouTube or anywhere else. So you get to peek behind the veil. And believe me, there's a couple of choice pieces. Most of all, more than anything, whether you join the Patreon or not, I just want to thank each and every one of you that comes to the channel, that watches all the shows, that leaves comments, that participates, that subscribes. That's really the most important thing. This is just trying to find a way to earn a living as an artist. And with that, thank you for my TED Talk. Join the Patreon, because we need you!
66 cents.